The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make a lot of noise, but we ain't rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghosts. You're scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Okay! Game on!
Game on!
Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hello, Toby. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, just please take your seat about way. We're with you. It's time to take off. Start. 2, 1. Boost ignition and lift off.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott, and it's great to have you along for the ride on this Friday, September 15th, Saturday, September 16th. If you're on the East Coast or across the pond, hope you had a great day and night. We are live right here in the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia as we are here 7 days a week. We welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of the Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We're also live on spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listeners. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Like our music, get your horns up for Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot is the official music of this show. Now, you can follow us all over social media on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you could follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States, on TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn, and you can download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, if you want to take part in this show, you got to do me a favor. You got to sign into one of the chat rooms. You got to go into Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the UPRN chat room, or join us on Facebook at the official chat there at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, be like Bobby, be like Canadian Joe, and use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I will connect with you live there during the show as well. Now, if you head to our website for $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, pick up a t-shirt, poster, or stickers. We have the Encounter Online dealing with everything paranormal, courtesy of our editors, Eric Markham and Everett Thiemer. You can check out my latest blog there as well, and if you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. We also got great video viewing from Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV and Tim Doyle's UFO Seekers. Tonight, we were going to have the crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, make his triumphant return to the SOR airwaves, but a scheduling conflict coming up yesterday with a Paracon he's attending this weekend made him have to cancel, but he will be back on Friday, October 20th. So since the guru had to cancel due to a Paracon, I started thinking, man, you know, we're only 8 days out from the Forest Moon Paracon, where I will be speaking in Concrete, Washington. So the light bulb went on in the old head, and we changed on the fly. So tonight, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, who is organizing this event, is with us, along with the list of speakers, including myself. I'll be here. Eric Markham, the preacher, R. Keith Andrews, and we are efforting Christina George and maybe a third-hour appearance from Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada as we discuss the topics of this year's event. Eric Cooper, I am so excited about getting down there next week, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. We're getting everything ramped up and ready to go the last week before Paracon. Actually, under a week, but yeah, the last minute got the signs for the advertising today, and putting up all the flyers the next week, and we're ready to go.
Excellent. Now, this is year number 2. For people who've never been to your Paracon, and there's only been one previous to this, explain a little bit about Concrete and what makes it such a paranormal hotspot.
Okay, well, Concrete is a little tourist trap in the middle of the Cascade Mountains at the end of Highway 20 and North Cross Pass. It's a very seasonal tourist trap. So we scheduled the Paracon here. Well, for one, it's Forest Moon Paranormal's headquarters town. So that was a given. We have heavy UFO sightings, heavy Bigfoot activity, and Concrete itself is a haunted town. So it's a plethora of haunted activity all over, paranormal activity all over this community. And so it's a perfect spot for a Paracon. Now, by definition to us, a Paracon is everything paranormal, from alien abduction and alien races to Bigfoot and other cryptids and, of course, hauntings. It's not just, a ghost Paracon. It's everything. That's what Paranormal Does is. So that's why our lineup, like last year and this year, and always will be, a lineup of all paranormal topics, not just, ghost busting. But the city of Concrete originally Concrete was named after, what they did. They made concrete here for the dams in Washington State. and that was back in early 1900s, late 1800s. So it's a very old town to begin with, and the city was actually built on a rock or a crystal quarry. So you've got that aspect, and you've got the aspect of two different rivers that connect, which is another energy hotspot. You've got a plethora of ghost activity. So that in itself, I mean, it's a perfect spot for a Paracon. It's the most haunted town in Skagit County.
What makes it so haunted?
Okay, so the history of the town burned down, I believe it was 1910, 1920. I may be wrong. But in that time period, the town burnt down and was rebuilt. So you've got, disaster. You've got the fact that it's built on a crystal quarry, which is a magnifier of energy and paranormal activity to begin with. And, Fog Paranormal, I guess 20 years ago, and off and on the last few years, has investigated and not to mention you guys, even in the hub, saw like 3 or 4 different spirits. What they found is a lot of the spirits cross through different buildings of the town. They don't see walls; they go right through walls. So they would see one spirit in a restaurant, they'd find the same spirit in the bank. So that in itself makes it haunted. Just the fact that it was built in a crystal quarry, and the disasters over the years, in the last 100 years, that they built the city.
With the paranormal activity that happens there, and you know what, for people who've never been there, I went there last year to speak at the Paracon. I will be doing this again this year, and I was pleasantly surprised to see a lot of the old buildings. I mean, you take away the concrete, you're like in an old west type town on the main street. It is actually really cool to see. I'm surprised they still don't have the railings up to tie your horses up to, Eric.
and there used to be there used to be train tracks that came up here, and they took them out, and they made a walkway and a walking trail in that. There were actually 2 cement plants here, one on our side of the river where we live, and another on the other. They're actually across the river from each other, and they literally used that concrete to build all the dams up here. We have 5 different dams just on our river alone, which to us is a disaster, because if they ever break, we have to move. And we have a volcano. I mean, you've got a lot of natural disaster areas, which is also a draw for paranormal because of the energy. Volcanoes draw, earthquakes draw, and so on and so forth. And it is the Wild West.
What made you put on the Forest Moon Paracon? What made you decide last year that this was something that you wanted to do and then carry it over to this year?
I've been kicking it around for about 3 or 4 years, just because you look at other Paracons, they charge an arm and a leg. I mean, most people don't have a lot of money to go to a Paracon, whether they're raising the money for the city or whatnot. People don't have a lot of cash to throw towards a Paracon. So one thing was, bringing the education to the public. 2, the other aspect I wanted to bring, which hasn't happened yet, it will eventually, is bringing other paranormal groups together to discuss the paranormal as well. And, 3 was bringing economy to the community up here. But the main thing was, we're a free Paracon, with the exception of VIP tickets, and that's for the round table after it. It's basically an after Paracon party. But no, I wanted to make a free event that covered all aspects of the paranormal, not just not just a UFO symposium, not just a ghost, Paracon, but covered everything. And it was free to expose the Paracon the paranormal to the public. That was the reason we started one.
Now, when you are putting together a Paracon, you mentioned that you want to put a mixture of different ideas and thoughts, not just focus on ghosts or focus on aliens or cryptids. You mix it all up. What is the importance, or why is there an importance in mixing it all up?
Well, exposing to the public that the paranormal isn't just ghost TV shows. It's not just Bigfoot or, cryptid TV shows, but it's a whole umbrella that is all interconnected. And that's kind of what Christina George is bringing to the table, too, is kind of showing you how they're connected. But they are all connected, and people need to understand that. So when you call a paranormal team, which is rare to find a paranormal team that actually covers all aspects. I'm finding that more and more as I start the GPI stuff. But, it needs to be made aware that if you have a Bigfoot sighting, call a paranormal team. If you have a UFO sighting, call a paranormal team. If you have a ghost sighting, call a paranormal team. That's what we're here for. And it gets frustrating in that people don't understand that.
So when you're picking your lineup, what are you looking for?
Experience. I'm looking for people to speak that have the experience I'm looking for. Someone that's been in the fields for a while. Someone that knows what they're talking about.
So explain how you came with your group. I'll be speaking for the second year in a row there. I'm very thankful for you to put me in the lineup. I greatly appreciate it and love your little community there and cannot wait to get back. So explain to me the lineup and what everybody brings.
Okay, well, with Christina George, I've been on her show, about 3 or 4 years ago now, I guess. So I already kind of knew Christina, and I knew what her background was and what she would bring to the table. So she was a given. Our Keith Andrews, only known Keith for less than a year now, and impressed by his knowledge. So he'd be the perfect choice for talking about, alien races. Markham, we need more science exposure. So that's a given, considering he's our scientist on the team as well as Thor, to talk about science and the paranormal, because too many, and that comes into your topic, but too many teams out there are talking, oh, we do this for science. No, you're not, and here's why. So, Markham's going to bring that to the table. Mike Morin, I always want a ghost specialist to cover the haunting aspect, and he's the perfect choice for that, because he's been in it for a while. And, of course, you just wrapped it all up.
Well, thank you. Keith, I'm going to get you to turn your computer down because we hear every time you have a Facebook message. I think that's you, if you're all right.
No, unfortunately, we couldn't get Tyler for my Bigfoot presentation, but we are going to get some material from him, and we'll have a Bigfoot display. And due to time, we will not have a lunch break. This year, we are going straight through all-day lectures.
That's going to be a lot of fun in what you were doing and what you were putting on. Do you enjoy it, or is it just a lot of work that you just breathe the next couple of days and say, well, that was fun?
Well, it kind of goes, both ways. It's fun, but it is also a big sigh of relief that it's over once it's over. Because, every year this is our second year, but last year, you get a lot of hiccups, and it's a pain, but it's well worth it when you see the response of the public once you're there, and the excitement that builds up when they see the ads that we put up.
And how is the response from the community?
Well, the general community here, very minimal. But we're talking Seattle, we're talking across the state, and actually nationwide. We've got people coming from Utah. So, yeah, we'll see what the attendance looks like on the 23rd. I mean, we had 70 to 100 people last year. It's hard getting the word out because, well, we have biased reporting here. And I'm gonna be blatant about it. We have biased reporting. So if you're friends with the reporters, oh, sure, they'll put it out. If you're not, which we're not, they'll put all the other crackpot team stuff out, but they won't put the actual valid free events out. And that's just the sad reality. People are in this for entertainment, not for for instance, our case, the emergency response of it. So if you're an entertainment group, sure, they'll push it. But if you're actually in it to educate, they won't. And that's just, again, sad reality.
Well, let's bring in Eric Markham here.
Yeah.
How you doing, preacher?
Oh, hanging in there.
You're making one hell of a drive from North Carolina all the way to Washington State. Tell us about your trek west.
Well, I'm going to pretty much take 40 straight west, pick up Elizabeth Anglin, one of our broadcasters, does a Cosmic Passport, and bringing her up to the Paracon. So we're going to go up through some of the Anastasi ruins and take some pictures. Just going to, I'm combining my vacation with this Paracon, so I'm going to enjoy myself as much as humanly possible.
How many hours is it going to take you to get there?
Let's see, it's 24 to New Mexico, where I got to pick up Elizabeth. Then it's another 21 up to Washington from there, I think. Depends on the route.
Well, that's one heck of a drive, man. One heck of a drive.
I'll get off work Monday morning, and if things work out right, I'll just leave from work. If not, I'll leave shortly thereafter, probably about 8, 9 o'clock a.m., and I'll probably, I'll drive straight through. Always tell myself I'm going to stop, and it's like, okay, I'll stop next time. And next thing I know, I'm where I want to go.
Right on. Do you look forward to speaking at your first Paracon?
Yes, in a way, it's kind of daunting, but well, I'm trying not to think about it too much. The thing is, I'm talking about a subject that I'm quite familiar with, so hopefully being familiar with the subject matter will make it easier to focus on, getting the word out to the 3 or 4 people that show up for my my conference.
Well, I can tell you this, preacher. You were with me at the Provincetown Paracon in Massachusetts. There will be no great white sharks at this one. There may be Sasquatch, but no great white sharks. And I have a feeling there will be a few more people.
I'm hoping so. Well, I'm sure there will be.
Not saying the last one wasn't bad.
No, let me just say there were 70 to 100 people at our first annual, and I expect possibly double that. Because, so Three Rivers Inn, which is our hotel lodging, is now booked. Paisley Town got the last room. So if that tells me anything about, because if you Google search hotels in Skagit County, Three Rivers is going to come in. And so I have a feeling that most of their booking came from Paracon. So if that's an indicator, you're going to have a full house.
Cool.
Well, we look forward.
There's
to
so
it.
much to look forward to between the sightseeing heading up there and once I get there, getting with the gang, getting to meet our Keith Andrews for the first time and getting to meet my co-radio friend there, Coop, first time in 2 years?
Yep.
It's going to be a great time. We are getting a lot of echoing all of a sudden. I don't know why. Who's got their volume up? Anybody?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Maybe it's just Skype again. I don't know. You never know with Skype. But anyhow, as we are progressing towards the Paracon, and I want to bring you back in here, Coop, what do you look forward to the most? Is it just bringing the community together, or is it bringing just these events or this type of event to the community?
For what? Almost 2 years now. And it's really bringing the family back together. You know, just bringing the public in and bringing a good presentation to the community is one thing, but I just look forward to the camaraderie.
Explain that, because a lot of people, you got to realize, there's a lot of people listening who maybe haven't gone to a Paracon before. What makes yours different from other ones?
Well, again, we talk everything paranormal, so bringing you know, all aspects of the paranormal together is, you know, I hear about ghosts and spirits all day long. I hear about UFOs and aliens every once in a while. So, yeah, bringing everything together in one platform is what makes it exciting to me. And ideally, we'll make it exciting for the community, because you do still have a lot of people out there that call us crackpots, especially because we believe in aliens. So, on that note, yeah, I don't know what to expect.
We bring in R. Keith Andrews here, who will be speaking at the Paracon as well, obviously most likely about aliens. I'm guessing about that. Keith, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When's the last time you spoke at a Paracon?
3 years ago, actually. I spoke at the Experiencer Speak Paracon out in Portland, Maine. And then the last 2 years, I've still been out there talking to people, but because of the way they were booking it, I wasn't actually speaking, although I spent an awful lot of time talking to people.
So, being a veteran of the talk show circuit, or the talk scene circuit, what do you look forward to about getting down there?
Well, I can't say it's all looking forward to it. I've had some pretty extensive talks with Eric about that. But the thing that is extremely enjoyable, really, the energy that comes with it, especially with combining all of the different venues, you know, the cryptids, the ghosts, the UFOs, and especially the research side of it. And bringing all of that out, and the questions that come out of the visitors, you know, out of the people that are showing up to just listen, are absolutely incredible. Now, in my case, I've heard an awful lot about concrete itself, and frankly, I'm hoping to get some time to take a look around the city itself. Because
don't blink, don't blink. You'll go right through it.
That big?
No, I think he doesn't need to blink. I think he'll be drawn right to it.
I'm almost embarrassed to say that last year I drove right through the town and I got lost. How do you get lost in concrete? Let me know. I apparently I got lost. Couldn't find the event. And I'm looking at my watch saying, dang, I got to get down there. I'm already late because I slept in because they got this pub. I have to explain this for a second. Okay, they have this pub on the main drag called the Hub. And the Hub's, how old's the Hub? 100 years old?
About that.
Okay.
I couldn't give you a number.
All right. Well, the Hub is about 100 years old. And one of the things that I like about that little place is, see, I'll go on record and say I don't really drink. I really do not drink. It's something, I come from a long line of family alcoholics, and it's something that I kind of went the other way. But every now and again, old Davy likes a little nip of tequila. And then you find out when you go to the bar, because, I mean, you go to any sports bar or club or lounge or anything, and you order a shot of Patron, it's usually about $8 a shot. Between 7 and 10. I'm sure all of you would agree with me on that. And at the Hub, Patron is only like $3.25. So old Davy likes to hang out at the pub called the Hub. And me and Christina George, well, we put a good dent in that bottle last time. I had to get a driver back. And next thing I know, I slept through my alarm and showed up 2.5 hours late for Paracon. And then I got lost on the way. So,
but in your defense, though, Dave, last year's Paracon was actually up at Lake Tai, which is before Concrete. This year, however, we are actually in town in that we are at the Concrete High School, which is by the airport. You can't miss it. You take a ride at the only gas station in town, and you're there. There will be signs up. But last year, yeah, it was kind of up in the mountains a little bit, so kind of harder to find. This year, you can't miss it. It's in Concrete.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Dave, I can actually show you how to get lost in a hurry.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things where we're going to take it easy this year. Got a big speech. Actually, you got a really good lineup. Why don't you, Erica, tell us the lineup of this year's event?
Okay, let me pull it up. I know we are starting, because the event starts 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we'll be there at about 8:30, so our vendors, and yes, we do have about 10 vendors that will be there, along with raffles and information galore. And I'll be speaking from about 9:45 to 10, and that's just kind of a welcome to Paracon and intro and whatnot. Mike Morin, I'm pulling it up here, but Mike Morin is the first speaker. And give me a minute, I gotta find it through my plethora of other posts in Forest Moon. But we broke it up so that it wasn't all alien speakers or all, we broke it up so you heard about ghosts, then you heard about aliens, then you heard about science, and then you heard about aliens again. We broke it up so it wasn't all just one topic at one time.
Sounds like a good time. Now, Preacher, why don't you come on here for a little bit and take a few minutes and describe what you're going to be discussing?
Well, I'm going to discuss how to use science, what direction to look at. I mean, we're looking at trying to figure out a way to make things more reproducible, leave less to chance, because, let's face it, a lot of what happens on these investigations is luck of the draw as to whether you capture something. And I think some of that is because the concentration is on the wrong thing. So part of what I'm going to do is suggest what to look for, how to measure it, and to try and correlate the data together with what we're seeing and make it a little more, make the odds better. I'm going to discuss evidence collection. I'm going to discuss it in my presentation, but I'm also going to give a special presentation just on like how to make slides from specimens, how to preserve a specimen, how to do a tissue collection, things like that. And I'm going to wrap up with, behavior and ethics in the paranormal, like not going into somebody's house and provoking spirits and stirring up the hornet's nest and bagging out of town. I'm trying to make it a little bit more of a mainstream type of activity. Less of the cult of personality type of stuff we saw up in Provincetown and more, serious scientific endeavor.
When you are picking what you're going to speak at, I mean, you do have to be careful with trying to, you don't want to make it a big bashing sound that everybody is doing everything wrong, but the way you should be doing it. How do you try and find an equal balance in that?
Well, what I'm going to do is suggest parameters that we might look at. Now, I'm not saying I have the answers. As a matter of fact, I'm saying just the opposite. But I'm saying in order to get some answers, maybe this is the direction we need to look at. These are the things we need to watch for. And I'm going to throw out some ideas, including some of the apparatus I've been building, and just try and get the ideas out there and get people thinking. I don't want it to make it sound like I've got all the answers. I do not. But I think we can focus. There's things that we can focus on while doing an investigation beyond getting the picture, getting the EVP. There's got to be things or variables that are trackable around these types of events. Because if a ghost is interacting with us in some way, that means they are physically interacting in our universe, in our reality, and in order to do that, there's got to be something traceable to that. It's just, once they come into our time and our space, the physical laws, we may not understand all the physics behind what they're doing, but there's physics there that we can trace. There's phenomenon we can try to document what's going on in the local microenvironment. Is the temperature dropping? Is the barometric pressure going crazy? Ambient light levels? There's just things there's tried and true things that we have the instruments to measure that I think we need to concentrate on more than, getting the EVP. I'm bringing my own EVP, excuse me. I'm bringing my little deck that I caught the EVP on with that, and I'm going to demonstrate, what it is, but how literally useless it is as far as doing scientific research. But then I'm going to say, okay, what would make this a more valid or, have some meaning? And the parameters you'd have to, the research model you'd have to put in place to give it some, credibility.
In your opinion as a scientist, where are a lot of paranormal teams missing out?
Well, too much of it is guesswork, spending money on gadgets. If you look at a lot of the stuff that's being bought and sold, there's no hard data to prove that it's legitimate. It's just, hey, this thing you put on your phone and it makes noises. It's random. I did a Newswire article about that. And it just, to me, excuse me, I think we need to start setting down some real data. Excuse me just a minute. I got to get a drink of water. My throat's got a dry spot.
Not a problem. And Cooper, to touch on what Eric Markham is saying, with Forest Moon, I know you're trying to put the GPI together and you're trying to bring some sort of global procedure into the paranormal, which I think is an honorary thing, a very tough task and an uphill task. But where do you see teams lacking in the scientific department, and why is Eric's speech so important to the Forest Moon Paracon?
Well, I think protocol needs to be set, and that's where Markham comes in. They need to know what is scientific data. Is this EMF this EMF reading I just got, or this EVP I just collected, is that scientific? It isn't really, and they need to know. Also, with the evidence collection, you know how much evidence probably gets contaminated because they don't know how to do it right, and they don't do it right. You put that Bigfoot hair in a baggie, is it going to be contaminated in that baggie, or should be putting it in a steel jar, for example? These are things that need to be addressed. These are the things that need to be taught in training, and that's where we need to set standards.
So what kind of standards, Eric Markham, as you're back now, do you feel that we need to be set? What will you be talking about? Or what should every paranormal group be looking to accomplish when it comes to evidence collection?
I think we need to standardize what we're looking for. In a way, I'm suggesting that we start rebuilding, redesign the wheel. Let's start from the very the very basics. Let's set up the idea how to set up proper controls. Because in order for a group to be doing real scientific research, and one of the things I'm going to make, plain in my presentation is real science is tedious, meticulous, and boring. I mean, it's the excitement of running around there with the K2 meter or the Ovilus and, interacting with probably some stray radio wave is one thing, but the actual setting up the same instruments in say you have a hot spot or a suspected hot spot, I'm suggesting a certain set of instruments to set up in that hot spot, and then put the same instruments nearby, not maybe on site, but within 100 yards or something. That would be your control site, because chances are, if you're in a hot spot, and this is all, this is just baseline, because I may find that control has to be a little farther. Maybe it can be a little closer. It's things to experiment with over time. And I think if we start getting people working in concert and supplying their research, we can see what works. We can say, okay, when this spirit manifests, we had a barometric pressure drop, or we had a barometric pressure rise. We had an ambient temperature drop or rise. Let's track what happens at the hot spot with things that we know how to measure, that we've been measuring for a couple hundred years. Things like barometric pressure, things like temperature, light levels, things that are standardized. And like barometric pressure, the pressure outside your house is not going to be different than the pressure inside your house. And if you get a large spike or a large trough at the hot spot, but not on your control place, well, that tells us something. Nothing I'm proposing is going to prove there are ghosts. But what I'm trying to do is get things on on a level playing field where everybody's tracking or trying to get the base data together. Then we can start getting into more intricate detail. Let's say we notice a trend between certain environmental factors when we're in a hot spot. Okay, now let's find out what's causing that. It's a stepwise operation, like a flow chart. If A happens, go to B. If B happens, go to C. If C don't happen, you better really look at A again. It's a constant, like a process improvement cycle.
Now the big question is, Eric Markham, resident scientist, speaking at the Forest Moon Paracon next Saturday, do enough paranormal teams or people involved with those teams care?
In this case, I think it's a matter of the ones that don't care aren't going to be listening to what I say. But I think with Eric Cooper's trying to get the global paranormal initiative together, those are the kind of teams that are going to want to join GPI and sign on to do real research. They're the ones that are going to take my baseline ideas and improve on them. Somebody's going to get this and they're going to see some factor that I haven't considered, or they're going to see something over and over again that, maybe the rest of us are overlooking. And that's where you get it out there and get other people that are interested in doing the tedious research. And that's when we'll start making some progress. The ones that are content to run around with their meters and talk to somebody's wireless router, hey, more power to them. And if that makes them feel good, and they think they've done something, who am I? My premise is we're going for true scientific research.
Got a question from you from Joe in the Spreaker chat room. He is asking, Eric, do you have an instrument that keeps a record of barometric pressure, temperature, humidity, light levels, etc.?
I've got part of it. I was going to bring some up with me, but, those of us in the background know what happened to my PayPal account, so I'm probably not going to be able to, but I've got a source list. But yeah, most of the electronic weather stations you buy, if you buy a decent weather station that's going to have an anemometer for wind speed, and these things record. They have they're set up for the home enthusiast that wants to download in their computer and spot trends. That's the kind of instrument you buy. And I propose getting 2 identical sets. And part of my presentation is just having 2 identical sets isn't good enough. You have to test them together in different environments. Make sure that when they're in a hot environment, they're both reading the same. You have to take them in trial to make sure they match up. Or if they don't, you have to find out if is it always a couple degrees off? Is it always 2 degrees high, 2 degrees low? And set that up to where you have that offset so that if you do get something on your test site, it's not just a random error. It's not just an equipment, a quality control issue with the equipment. You have to have standards set up. Basically, you're calibrating your 2 sets together so that when you deploy them in the field, you can trust the data you're getting from them.
Is that tough to do in the paranormal field because of the fact that there's a lot of people out there who are using the technology on a basic level, Eric? Okay? There's some very expensive technology that people are using and spending money on in the paranormal industry, but how many of them are actually using it to its full capability?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that's out there is snake oil. I think it's flashy lights, it's things that make noise. What I'm suggesting is instead of spending all that money on a ghost box, say, and I'm not hacking on these things, okay? I'm just saying there may come a time when we go back to that, or we use that in an experimental setting with our other data. But let's get the kind of instruments that we can measure environmental factors reliably with. Let's start with saying, okay, what happens if, we suspect that, there's all this anecdotal evidence out there that if a spirit manifests, the temperature drops. Where is it actually down on paper, in a refereed journal article, or any kind of legitimate thing? It's mostly just, we saw that there was a cold spot and our K2 meter went off. Well, that doesn't mean crap. A house, I've got cold spots in my house just because of the way my house is. So, and that's nothing to do with spirit activity. I think we need to nail down some concrete parameters, factors, and changes. Then we can say, okay, if the temperature drops, if the barometric pressure fluctuates, if the ambient light level goes up or down, and the K2 meter goes off, add the gimmickry, or, add the non-substantiated instruments to our substantiated, calibrated array. And then maybe we can make some headway on this and start getting some reproducibility and some predictability instead of this luck of the draw, we just happened to be there and we got it.
Right. Eric Cooper, I bring you back in here for this. Is it easy to try and set up a standard like this with everything that Markham is saying in regards to try and get proper evidence and not just, what somebody believes could be evidence? Is it possible to set a guideline that everybody can understand?
I think so, if it's broke down into basic English for the person that doesn't know much science. And I think Markham will be capable and good at doing that. I think a lot of it has to do with education. You educate these teams on proper scientific procedure on a basic level, because I'm sure most of them didn't get any science since high school. Now, it depends on how old they are, obviously, how long ago that was. But, everyone had basic scientific theory in high school, or they should have. So if you take that basis and then Markham enhances on it, I think it'll be understandable enough to make it happen.
What do you think about that, Markham?
I think he brings up a good point. There's a lot of people that don't know. One of the things I get when I talk to people that aren't scientists or haven't been through the training I've had, the education, is that they look on science as this institution, and it's not their fault. Science, mainstream science has kind of set itself up to be like the Vatican or, some entity. All science is, it's a tool. A carpenter uses a hammer and nails, a mason uses a trowel, a scientist uses the scientific method. And it's not a goal unto itself. It's not an institution unto itself. It's just a tool. That's all science is. It's a tool. It's a way of looking for answers. It's a way of divination, if you will.
But science is theory. Let us remember that. It's not fact. It's theory until proven fact.
Well, yeah, you got the whole thing. It's you ask a question, you develop a hypothesis, you test the hypothesis. If it comes out, it's a theory. And then if enough other data comes up, then it becomes a law. Or, it's engraved in stone. Anything that's a theory is still up for grabs. It can still be disproved. It's just a theory is the best working model we have to explain something we're seeing until something else comes along or we add to it. A theory in itself is not an end. It's not an end in itself. It's just this is what we know thus far. Let's work around that and see if we can, prove the theory, disprove the theory, add to the theory. If you're doing it right, it should be an ongoing search. And every time you find an answer, it ought to open up a book full of questions.
Let's get to a question. Go ahead.
Real quick, I like Joe's comment because that brings up the psychological aspect. Joe brings up, he'd be curious about the vital signs of the experiencer when it's happening. Now, that would be a hard one because it's got to be happening. You've got to be there, or they have to have someone to check their vitals, whether it's blood pressure.
What about those? What do they call them? It's like a wristwatch thing, Fitbit. I think it's called a Fitbit or something. I've got a thing that I can wear when I'm when I used to go to the gym, that's got a sensor that keeps track of my heart rate, and I think it does respiration. I know it does heart rate. So basic heart rate monitors are, cheap and widely available. So at the very least, we ought to be able to do that.
Right, and Tessa brings up the point too that most are already, if they've been experiencers with the same phenomena for a couple of years, then they may or may not have a spike. So brainwaves would be better, but again, brainwaves would be a harder one to measure. During an event.
Yeah, that would be. Well, that's one of the things I bring up in my presentation is the future is going, the way things are being miniaturized. I mean, you look at the average cell phone, and it's darn near the tricorder from Star Trek, and the communicator rolled up in one. There's the generation that comes behind us is going to look at our highest tech we've got and look on it like we look on horse and buggy or, steam engines. Yeah, we're probably not that far from having a wearable ECG or, the technology is on the cusp of being just, like you buy on an end cap rack at Walmart. It's coming to that.
Okay, boys, on that note, we are about 20 seconds away from going to our first break of the night. R. Keith Andrews, Eric Cooper, Eric Markham, myself, we're also going to still effort to try and get Christina George and Mike Morin in hour number 3. It's the entire speaking crew that will be chatting next week at the Forest Moon Paracon in Concrete, Washington, as we all gather for a little paranormal chatter September 23rd in the Pacific Northwest. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. I'm going to look for UFOs during the break. I'll be right back.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruse, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Want a place to share your experiences without feeling judged? We have the place for you. If you've experienced sightings or contact with ETs, ghosts, cryptids, or UFOs, and you'd like someone to confidentially look into the matter, Just fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our goal is to help you get the answers you need to the experiences you've had with our professional team of researchers. Your information stays 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. Fill out your experience today only at spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience, Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, we are going to have Dave Cruz back in the hot seat as he takes on Spaced Out Saturdays. Yes, it's a good time indeed. His guest will be Christopher Garitano. He will be talking about the Montauk Project and other things as they get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Then on Sunday, we have Elizabeth Anglin, Spaced Out Sundays with Cosmic Passport, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time as well. We get going all the shows at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of the Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us as well. We are also live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and it's impossible. This thing's about 37 letters long. Seriously, it's 37 letters long. Lanfair Plig Gwing, whatever it is, that is your password for tonight. Bill, you outdid yourself. But Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also connect with us live during the show at the SOR Space Travelers Club. We'd love for you to join in on that. We also are on Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on iHeartRadio, you can do so in the United States. You can listen to us on TalkStream Live. You can also tune us in on TuneIn and download and subscribe to our iTunes channel. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for as low as $5 a month. You can also rock out to some Bumblefoot. You can definitely check out our Spaced Out Radio store, watch some UFO Seekers videos, Contact TV videos, or read up on the encounter online. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with Eric Cooper, Eric Markham, R. Keith Andrews, Forest Moon Paracon, about a week away, just under, as we will be heading down there next week. Dave Cruz will be filling in for me on Friday night while I make my travels down south. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But right before that, we were talking about the science of everything. And, you know, I think it's important that we continue on, you know, discussing the whole scientific process of it. If there was, Eric Markham, one place that you would like to see paranormal teams start to take a little bit more seriously when it comes to gaining their own research, what is it? What would you like to see some sort of continuance on, or continuity?
Yeah, I'd just like to see some kind of reproducibility. There is so much hearsay. You know, I'd like to see things become less hearsay, less Emperor's New Clothes, and more of a, this is what we, something, something, I'm trying to stay away from the word concrete so y'all don't think I'm making a pun. But I think the concentration has to be on measurable standard data, things that we've been measuring for years, for centuries. And things that we can reliably measure, that every time we do, stick a thermometer somewhere, this happens. Every time we put a barometer somewhere, this happens. And just get some real reproducible results and, have it published in such a way, I just want to see something less snake oil, less enthusiast, and more science.
I understand that, but a lot of people don't understand. I mean, they got to go back to grade 8. Figure out what the purpose, the procedure, the hypothesis is.
Well, I'm hoping that I can give a primer for that, and I'm actually, as I'm writing my presentation, which I'm up to 5 minutes, Coop. How many minutes did you say I had to be? No, I'm kidding.
90.
But
90.
Okay, 85 to go. No, I'm far beyond that. I just wanted to hear Coop sweat a minute. I was like, I'm going to kill that jerk when he gets here. No, I'm actually trying to put together a primer. When I'm speaking, I grab the vocabulary that I have, and sometimes I overspeak. When I'm writing, I can say, I'm at more of a leisure, and I can say, there's a better way to put this concept. And I'm trying to do a primer for paranormal teams to, get them on board with, or at least expose them to what I think we ought to be doing.
Gentlemen, I'm going to interrupt you here now. So during the break, one of our listeners contacted me, who's local here. Her name is Dawn. She contacted me, and she lives quite near me, and she is watching a UFO out her window. And about a 20-minute drive, 30-minute drive from where we live, I've just been contacted by another lady named Cheryl, who is watching the same UFO, or not the same UFO, but a different UFO that is the same one that appeared in front of her and her hubby's house 2 nights ago. It's back again.
Well, hey, Dave, let Keith jump on real quick and explain why there's a plethora of UFO sightings that comes up.
Well, every time that we have a Paracon where people are actually paying attention to it and starting to get, really hyped about it, and I mean both the speakers and the potential visitors and participants, it has two effects. One is the communication lines between people start to really buzz, and people worry about Big Brother, watching what you're doing and listening in. Well, the government has nothing over the UFOs. They're watching as well, and they pay attention to this sort of thing. So when people are actually paying attention, when they're actually talking about it, that's when the off-worlders start really paying a lot more attention. The other issue is, of course, the more hype that goes out and the more advertising, the more discussion around the Paracon, what happens is people start looking at the sky more often.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Net result, it's not necessarily there's more going on, but people are virtually guaranteed to see more.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but these are people who are not even in touch with the Paracon, Keith.
Oh, this is why I said to start with, the more people are talking about it. When I say that the off-worlders are paying attention, the common people, the people that, and that's a lousy word for it, but people that aren't even connected to the industry are far more likely to see the off-worlders, because the off-worlders are coming in for a closer look to see what's happening and what kind of an effect it has. We're talking about scientific proof or scientific methods of doing Terran research, but the off-worlders have the same concept where they're looking for proof, where they can say, okay, mankind is evolving in a functional fashion that can be put to use with the by the Galactic Consortium, that can bring mankind into an off-world interrelationship with the off-worlders. Okay, but the real catch to it is that it's going to take the people that that don't usually pay attention to it, spotting it, for the, sad to say, for the government to finally stand up and go, there really is something going on here that the people already know. We may as well start talking about it. Virtually everybody has talked, in the industry, has said, look, people call us crackpots, they say we're off our rocker, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a certain amount of, if you will, prejudice perception that people write it off. Even people in the UFO, in the paranormal industry, will write off when somebody says that they've had an experience. Okay. So it's going to be those people that aren't directly involved in it that are going to bring the biggest attention.
I understand what you're saying. I just don't believe that it has anything to do with the Forest Moon Paracon 6.5 hour drive away.
I don't doubt you don't. Don't forget, the Forest Moon Paracon isn't the only Paracon going on. It's also not the only place that people are starting to pay more attention to the off-worlders and to all this hidden information that is all of a sudden, virtually all of a sudden, being released by various governments that are coming out of the woodwork and going, oh, by the way, we've known about this for years.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just about, much as I would love to say it's all about the concrete Paracon. Right. I'd love to say that's what it all was. But it's a much bigger issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just a small drop. We're just a small drop in the bucket.
Yes. Sad to say.
But that's okay. We get the word out. That's all that matters to the ones that do show up. And I do have my itinerary up if you want to hear it, Dave.
Yeah, please run through it.
Okay, so 9:45 to 10, I'm doing the Welcome to Paracon. 10 o'clock to 11:30, we have Mike Warren doing his investigation techniques in hauntings. Now, what we've done, because we're packing a one-day event into a lot of information and a lot of time, there is no lunch time. People can, come and go and go. There's a plethora of restaurants around the area. But what we've done is we've done the workshops 15 minutes prior to the end of one lecture, and they'll miss 15 minutes prior to the beginning of the other. So you ain't going to miss a whole lot. So 10 to 11:30 is Mike Moore, and he's doing investigation techniques and hauntings. And then his workshop is actually going to be from 2:30 to 3. And that's the tools of the paranormal investigation. So from 11:30 to 11:35 to 1:05, our Keith Andrews is doing alien races. Then we jump over to science. From 1:10 to 2:40 is Eric Markham with Science and the Paranormal. Then we follow up with more alien with 2:45 to 4:15 with Christina George, Alien Abduction Experiences. Now, you get to start at the magic number, 420.
Nice. Nice.
420 to 550 is Dave Scott with Problems in the Paranormal and why he hates the paranormal. And then from 550 to 6, we wrap it up with Thank You for Coming to Paracon. Now, the workshops, we have Markham coming off from 11:15 to 11:45, 30-minute workshops. Hopefully that works for you, Markham. So a 30-minute workshop on collecting evidence from a science perspective. 2:30 to 3 is Mike Moran with Tools of the Paranormal. And then from 4 to 4:30, we have Steve Monchok with drone operations and how a drone would enhance the paranormal. Now, because we're next to an airport, I can't guarantee he's going to be able to actually do, an actual drone liftoff, which I think we were actually planning on. But he can answer questions about drone offs. Then, of course, we have vendors all day long. We have 2 readers. Paisley Town's coming for readings, and Skeeter Wellhouse, as far as I know, is still coming for readings. Then we have from 7 to 9, so we have to wrap it up quick because we have 1 hour from 6 to 7 to clean up, walk up, and get down to Annie's Pizza. For those that are getting VIP roundtables, get them now. They're still $30. They have Paracon, however, $40 for your VIP tickets. So VIP roundtable kicks off 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Annie's Pizza, and it's going to have all the speakers. It's going to have Elizabeth Anglin, Corey Ruiz, and, of course, I'm the moderator. So that is Paracon.
And we also have Corey Ruiz on with us right now. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Going to get you to speak a little bit louder if you don't mind.
Okay, how's that?
Much better, much better. Are you excited about helping Cooper out with the Paracon?
Oh, this is going to be great. I mean, it's going to be a packed day, lots of great speakers, yourself included. And we're going to have a wonderful VIP roundtable that's going to be at the end of the day to really kind of wrap this up. I think it's going to be awesome.
As someone who's one of the organizers and a fan of the event, what do you like about it? What brings you interest and intrigue in regards to putting this event on in your community?
It's all about getting that info out there. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that are going to come that is going to look at it as kind of an entertainment thing. But even those that are looking at it entertainment, those are people that are going to see a lot of info come to them. They're going to see how, serious people are about, getting, what we know to be real out there. It's also kind of opens things up. It gives people a safe place to come and, talk to other people about their own paranormal experiences, as you go in between speakers and people come in and out, and they get to see vendors and stuff like that. It's one of those things where, we really kind of get to put our genre of stuff out to the public.
And I like to add to that, Corey, because what I'm hoping for community-wise is that we do get the people that are experiencing things that, it's a Paracon, so it's a perfect environment for me to come and talk about what I'm going through. Because I run a concrete upriver group, and I promote Forest Moon Paranormal in it weekly. And do you think I get, for this being a haunted town, UFO activity, Bigfoot activity, do you think I get any cases? No, we don't. And it gets discouraging because they're going on all the time. I hear about them secondhand. And I'm like, well, why aren't people calling? Because the main reason, I think, is the ridicule that comes with it. They don't want to talk about it because, they must be crazy if they're seeing a UFO, or they're crazy because they're hearing footsteps and the doors closing, things like that. So ideally, this will bring out the platform for these people to come out and be able to talk about it comfortably.
Well, and on top of that, the more that we get this out there, the less chance there is of people doing the ridicule thing. I mean, the more and more that will go away eventually, and that's really my hope. Is the more we get it out there, the more of the Paracon stuff that we can do, the less of this ridicule that people will get for seeing paranormal stuff will happen.
See, the whole catch from what I've seen, the more that we bring it out in the open, the ridicule and what have you, is something that I'm hoping that that the Paracon will help address that, because I find it at a staggering level in this field and in a few other fields of their own, that the moment you mention some sort of paranormal experience, even in the actual field, I find so many people turning around and going, either you're faking it, or no, you're nuts, you didn't understand what you were looking at. Right? And if people in the industry won't listen, you're going to have a lot of trouble trying to get people outside the industry to pay attention. That's where we run into into a very big problem on the whole side of it. Is you have to sort of suspend, and I do agree that we need the scientific method of doing the research, of doing the investigation, but you have to start off, in my opinion, with the concept that the people are honestly seeing what they're saying they're seeing, even if they don't fully understand it. That's
whose dog is barking? Whose chihuahua is barking?
Sorry, that's mine. Hold on a second.
Put your mic on mute.
Wannabe.
Seriously. Yo quiero Taco Bell, man. By the way, we are stopping at Taco Time on the way down.
Taco Time or Taco Bell? We got both.
Taco Time down in Linden, Washington.
Oh,
we're gonna stop there on the way down. I need a taco and some Mexi fries. That's just the way it's going to go. That's just the way it's going to go.
You get the option on that one.
Oh, apparently I've just found out from Mrs. SOR that the Northern Lights are out. That's two nights in a row.
Listen to them. Do so.
That's 2 nights in a row. I walked out after the show last night onto the patio, and they were dancing around. And Dawn, that might be what you were seeing with the rainbow lights right now. I don't know if it's still coming through there, but we do have the Northern Lights going on here in central British Columbia, which is cool. Corey, get in the SOR hot tub and make sure you check out the Northern Lights. God, I love the Northern Lights. They're beautiful. So we got 2 UFOs out there and the Northern Lights, and I'm stuck in a studio with you unattractive beings.
Sorry.
I'm teasing.
I'd apologize, but you might take that as I actually worried about it.
Yeah,
right? Perfect. Absolutely. Keith, let's get into what you're going to be talking about this coming weekend. Not this one right now, but a week from now.
Yeah, the one down where everybody's supposed to be.
Yes.
Well, assuming, of course, that we make it there in one piece, because Dave is driving. But what we're talking, what I'm bringing down there, I did. Now we're going to disregard my artwork because, well, frankly, I'm not an artist. But we're going to be talking about some of the more common different races, the different ships that are out there and who belongs to them and why they're there. With a lot of the races, I've got information on actual cultures as to how they differ from mankind, and to try and help bring it all together so people come to understand why the off-worlders aren't just coming in to straighten this mess out. Why what they're up to, what their research is for, and why it is such a critical issue that they actually don't step in and straighten out what mankind is doing. One of the biggest topics that comes up all the time, and I'm only going to touch on it briefly there, is the issue of whether or not any of the races are actually infiltrating mankind's governmental situation and trying to corrupt it. But the biggest issue, the biggest thing I want to I'm bringing down is how the different races from such varied cultures, and we're not talking about like humans have different cultures. We're talking about massive differences, all the way down to what and how they eat. How those cultures have come under one banner, the Galactic Consortium, to build an empire that stretches light years instead of just a few thousand miles. Because mankind, people on the whole, have forgotten how to communicate, and they're going through, humans are going through a major turning point right now. And this is where change will happen. People are either going to straighten it out, or they're going to wipe out another civilization. And really, what I'm trying to help people see is how the off-worlders already did it, and we can learn by what they did to bring a global peace to this planet so that we can actually start exploring things and then start advancing civilization at the level that we'd like. Without people, without having to wake up in fear of who's going to fire the next missile, or who isn't for that matter. But like I've dealt with in excess of 50 different races, and understand the different colors of people does not make a different race. Like, for instance, the Greys, they've got at least 15 different colors, but they're all the same peoples. So it's a case of helping people understand that here we have mankind building a civilization on Earth, and that's just a small thing compared to what the consortium has done, and show people there is a way to make it work. Where, by the way, war is not the way to do it. And yes, you are right. There are still wars going on off-world. Okay, just because they're more advanced doesn't mean they're any wiser in certain ways. But the reality is there hasn't been one race that has gotten off the planet successfully that doesn't have a global government. And we're not talking about dictatorship here. So these are just a few of the topics that we're going to be bringing in. And of course, the important factor for the listeners and for the people that are actually at the Paracon, speakers included, is, for pity's sakes, if you've got questions, ask. That's the easiest way to find out. Like I've seen a lot of speakers where it's more of a lecture than it is a discussion, if you will, and I much prefer the more interactive methods. It just makes it easier from my standpoint because the questions people have, you can bet the people beside you have the same questions. So what I want to do is help people understand some of the technologies, and I will end up using terms that are going to confuse people. So again, especially when we get the scientific or the logical minded people in the room, I certainly encourage them to ask what I'm referring to, because I don't know what everybody understands yet. Still working on that part. The ironic part is I'm coming with no scientific background, with no quantifiable, if you will, quantified training. My schooling was a successful failure in college. I did graduate. Other than that, I don't have the background that the scientists and the other professionals have, which puts me in a little bit of a, I got to admit, it puts me a little bit on my own end, feeling a little bit outside of the loop. But I'm going to do the best I can anyway.
I think people are in for a treat, man. I think they're in for a treat. Corey, you wanted to say something?
No, I didn't pop in.
I thought somebody popped in there. Maybe it was just an echo. But it's kind of cool.
That was why I paused, is I thought that I had heard somebody trying to ask something.
No, absolutely. That's why I paused as well. So moving on here, Keith, when you have, so many people asking you the same question, it sounds like the question you get most on Space Out Radio when you do the ET Connection the first Friday of every month is, why aren't the ETs helping us down here clean up this mess? It sounds like you're going to be addressing that at the Forest Moon Paracon.
I am. That's one of the things that's got to be addressed, because people are overlooking the obvious to me. And that is, if they, and I will explain why people don't want the off-worlders to come down and fix it. Because there are a few of the races, if they come down and fix it, they'll fix it all right. But just a prime example, if you want to stop the starvation method, the easiest way in their eyes of stopping starvation, if you've only got enough food to feed a third of your population, their method is wipe out the other 2/3. Now, somehow I don't think this is going to go over well for humans.
No.
Yeah, I know it wouldn't go over well as far as I'm concerned. I'm thinking that's a little bit heavy, but that's one of their methods. So that is one of those topics. That one, and the issue of why, how the off-worlders are infiltrating the governments on all sorts of fronts, and they're the ones controlling what's going on the planet. Okay. And, and these are, as you well know, Dave, these are things that I constantly get asked, and quite frankly get, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say chastised, but that's the wrong word. But they complain to me, people complain to me, that the off-worlders don't do such things as straighten the mess out. I have the ones that tell me, well, you've got connections off-world, can't you get them to fill my bank account? Right. Money is not the same thing off-world as it is on the world, and there's, on Earth. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But it's the differences and the similarities that I'm going to do my best to bring into context for people. That's where it's going to be shall we say, a real challenge. Because people still have, the biggest problem that humans are having right now is humans are doing all this research, but they don't like other people doing the research on them. Okay, and I can tell you from personal experience, I'm not a fond recipient of many of their research methods either.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of the opinion that the cheetahs and the tigers and the dolphins aren't really impressed with mankind's methods of research.
Wouldn't it be safe to say, too, that at least for some of those races that, the fact of the matter is we can't seem to help ourselves to start with, and so why the heck are they going to help us?
Well, there is that, but, some of them definitely argue that point, right? And there have been arguments regarding frankly just doing what people suspect. People keep telling me, the planet's been quarantined, and I keep trying to let them know, look, if the planet was quarantined, we wouldn't have people being abducted. It just wouldn't happen. But there is the issue of mankind it's not that it can't help itself, it's that it won't. But the other issue is they look at it, the more advanced ones, if you will, look at it and go, if we turn around and help these people get up to speed so they can technologically get off the planet in force, mankind has this curiosity streak that will be devastating for many of the off-world races. And ironically enough, and this is just going to bolster 3/4 of the population's ego, I'm sure of it, but the off-worlders are more afraid of man than man is of the off-worlders. And it's because of man's abilities, the ones that mankind doesn't know it has, that becomes the problem. When you've got people that can manipulate energy that you can't track, that doesn't register properly, and make it do things that off-worlders just don't understand, it's a pretty frightening thing when you couple that with the fact that humans have the ability to figure things out that is beyond their knowledge. And it's all of this combines under the same roof of we are part of a much bigger organization, much bigger than Earth. And it's time for mankind to step up to the plate and realize just how big of how important a role this can be. I don't know if this is going to make sense to people, but I'm going to do my best with it.
Well, I mean, that's all we can do. I hate the paranormal, and that's what I'm speaking of, man. Imagine having to contradict myself. Hey, I'm getting a lot of questions, Eric Cooper, if there is going to be a live feed for the speakers for people who cannot make it.
Live feed, probably not. But what we are planning on doing is recording the lectures, and we will be posting them up.
That works. I was actually asked about that myself, about whether we would be recording the individual lectures so that they could be posted.
Right. But live feed, probably not, because there's no, Wi-Fi in that area.
Well, we can use Morse code.
Smoke signals.
We'll smoke signal it to YouTube. Excellent.
There you go.
Excellent. Are there going to be any extracurricular activities for people who come to the Paracon?
Extracurricular activity. Define extracurricular activities. Now, what we might do
is all sorts of ways.
That Friday
night. To do a
night,
serious show, guys.
That Friday night, we are doing the speakers barbecue, and afterwards, I believe you guys are all going to the Hub, which is a local bar, and doing an investigation late night.
We are. Bonus.
I believe that's the plan. I think we were waiting for I think we were waiting for confirmation. Well, the first thing we're going to investigate at the Hub is whether or not the tequila is stocked, because I know Christina George and myself would like to figure out that mystery.
Sorry, I'm far more interested in the rye on that one. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. We can figure that one out too for our good friend Uncle Keith, and then we can do an investigation there. You know, it was very active last time. Apparently, there is a young man in that pub who protects the girls from all the creepy dudes, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, talk about having no way to defend yourself against the if you're being a problem.
For sure.
So no, if we eventually get a little bit bigger, we will do a 2-day event. Give us a couple more years until we, get this thing down pat, and then we will do an investigation. Huh? Say again.
I said, what's this? If you get a little bit bigger.
Oh, well, you never know. I always hope for the best. But depending on if we get a bigger venue is what I'm boiling down to. If we get a bigger venue, we can do a 2-day event and actually do a sky watch one night, an investigation another night, that kind of thing. But due to funding, essentially, is the biggest one. We have to keep it a 1-day event because, frankly, when you're planning, and folks don't understand what it takes to plan one of these events. It takes a lot of funding. Keith and I got into this discussion, and I've got into this discussion with you as well, Dave. Our Paracon, I fortunately have awesome speakers in that I don't have to pay for airfare. I don't have to pay for, getting you here. But what I do feel an obligation to is paying for your lodging because you're getting yourself here. And I was really amazed talking to Keith in that the Paracons he's been to, he had to get himself there, pay for everything himself. That, to me, is disrespectful to your speakers. Because, honestly, I was astounded.
Well, even the 5 years I was traveling with the psychic fairs, I foot the bill for all of the travel, all of my.
Right, and I find that disrespectful. To be honest with you, you guys are taking the time out of your day to come speak at this event. You're taking the funding out of your time to get yourselves here. I can at least pay for lodging, so that's a big part of funding the Paracon. And then, of course, the venue. Lake Tahoe last year was only $150. This year, because it's in town and it's a bigger area, costs more. So when you're looking at the fact that we're keeping it free, but it does cost money. And so if I wanted to charge tickets, sure, I could charge tickets like everybody else, but then I'd be just another regular Paracon. But we want to keep it low. We want to keep it free. And that's what it boils down to. If we got funding, I could make a 2-day event. I'd have no problem making a 2-day event. But when it comes out of my pocket, for the most part, I can't do it. And that's what it boils down to. Now, eventually, if we get funding to where we can afford it, sure, I'll do a 2-day event. We'll have a sky watch and a lot more extracurricular activities. We'll be able to get more kid-friendly vendors and that kind of thing and make it a more family-friendly event. So that's what it boils down to.
We need to talk about that when I get up there. I don't see any reason why with a year of planning I can't chip in, and some of the other people we've talked to behind the scenes. I think we ought to be able to. I could probably just divert what I spend on Diet Pepsi a year We'll make a whole day out of it.
We need a Forest Moon telethon, is what he's saying.
There you go. Well, and I'll be blunt.
Discuss that down there.
I'll be blunt and honest with you, folks. I'm paying $1,500 out of pocket for this event.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the biggest challenges. But the reality, like I was talking to you earlier there, frankly, given a month, not going to happen. I just don't have the funding for it. Given a year, putting money aside to help put this thing on the map is relatively easy.
Yeah, I agree. With a year, I mean, even if like 3 or 4 of us get together and agree to make like pool $50 a month, or I'm just throwing a something out there. Over 12 months, that would add up to a damn good budget for a Paracon.
And my ideal picture of a Paracon is to get the local theater for lectures, basically having vendors lined up on the sidewalk in town and basically making the entire town one big Paracon. That is my overall picture.
Well, that's what they did over at Exeter.
Right, and that could... And that
your
could
town
happen
isn't behind that, though, is the problem. It seems like, the town is like, if you want to spend your money, sure, we'll benefit from it, but they don't want to support it, or it's kind of like maybe go next door. Is there a more paranormal-friendly city near Concrete? Just to throw it out there 1 year to say, see, this could have been y'all, but you were buttholes, so we had to take it out.
Guys, let's talk positive here about the event, okay?
Right. And that's the thing. I could easily move it to Mount Vernon and have a huge event for much cheaper, but that defeats my purpose. I want to support this community. I want to keep it here because this is where the paranormal activity happens. And so it defeats my purpose if I move it from here. So I will do what I have to. I will do what I have to do to keep it here, and we will have an awesome, successful event. We did last year, so I don't expect any negativity. I do have security coming in the event that we do have issues. I don't anticipate issues. I got asked that. Those are questions that come up. Do we have security? Are we expecting problems? No, I don't expect problems. But being military, I always plan for the worst.
Yeah.
So, how many of us have done the active shooter course, too?
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, I did that. You did that. We did a show about that. So,
yeah.
Plus,
they won't give me a gun, so I can't take that.
We can't have
that was the point of the course is you don't necessarily have, you're going to be in a situation like where I'm at, where you don't have, I'd have to be reduced to throwing a microscope at somebody.
Right. And because the event is in a school, it's a gun-free zone anyway. Mm-hmm. So we can't have firearms. But you don't need to have firearms to be security. Mm-hmm. You need big guns.
Well,
the other kind of big gun.
Throw off the shoulders.
Mike B on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio said he would be interested in going if it was in Mount Vernon.
Yes. Well, again, it defeats my purpose. And Mike, Mount Vernon's only less than 20 miles from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, you're building it in concrete. So all we do is, when we get down there, personally, I think we should all sit down, even if there's extra people around, and figure out exactly how to make it go more and more smoothly. I'm sure this year is going to be just wall-to-wall people. And the energy is already starting to build, so I really can't see it effectively going sour. But we can certainly make next year better.
Well, it'll only get better with time.
Right.
The way I'm looking at things here is this is a second annual Paracon. I mean, this is only the second one we've got going here. If we can do this again and show that it's even more productive than last time, then we can start really looking at things here in the town and looking to, the council and different stuff like that to get a little bit more support for when we go for third annual. It might be a lot easier the following time to do something like getting the theater for, for the presenters and having things set up out on the street for vendors and different stuff like that. Being the second annual, this will be kind of really that one when we show that we are really building, we're gaining steam, there's more people coming, it's bringing more people here. That's when we really start being able to present this more to the town, here and say, hey, look, this is a profitable thing for everybody here in the town. It brings people here, like some of the other things that you do during the year. How about some support?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll have it go on record right now in front of God, the panel, and everybody. I pledge $1,500 towards next year's Paracon.
Yeehaw.
Outstanding.
Part's, you're covered.
See, it's kind of comical because you and I, not you and I, but Eric and I, had a conversation the other day, and I told him point blank that I was planning on putting 500 into the over into Experience to Speak on the East Coast, right? Given a year, putting $1,000 into it isn't going to be that big of a challenge. And I mean, it because there's no way that it should all come onto one person's lap. Unless, of course, somebody wants to put it on Donald Trump's, at which point we're in good shape.
Guys, let's keep it on. Guys, Donald Trump has nothing to do with the Paracon, guys. Let's get, honestly, I think reading some of the comments from our listeners here, they're getting a little frustrated that we're getting off topic here. Okay? We're talking about a Paracon, not Donald Trump. So I apologize, but I mean, it's great that we all want to help out the Paracon. It's great that we all want to be, a part of this because it's going to be a phenomenal event. It really is going to be a phenomenal event in regards to it. Eric, we got about 4 or 5 minutes here before we go to break here. Why don't you explain what Christina George is going to be talking about?
Okay, Christina George. Now, for those that don't know Christina George, she is in California. She was at our Paracon last year. Phenomenal speaker. She is an experiencer and very well versed in alien abduction, which is why I chose her to talk about alien abduction from the experiencer standpoint. And I told her I want her to focus a lot on the signs and symptoms of abduction because a lot of people, and with Forest Moon Paranormal, I hate being the one when a client comes up and starts describing their experience, and I hate being the one to say, you're fitting the pattern for an abductee. Now, we can dig further into this. So it's important for people, in my opinion, to know what the signs and symptoms of abduction are. So she's going to be focusing a lot on the signs and symptoms of abduction and also tying it into the paranormal and the paranormal connectedness. So she runs Paranormal Connections radio show. She does Mondays and Thursdays, if you want to check her out. And you can hear what topic she talks about. But she can talk about darn near any topic you want to talk about because she's also a paranormal investigator. So I look forward to her every time she talks, whether she's been on a round table or even on your show, Dave, when you've had her. She's well versed in all things paranormal, so she's perfect for the round table as well.
And let's not forget, Elizabeth Anglin is driving on up with Eric Markham, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm driving straight through from North Carolina to New Mexico, then I'm crawling in the back and taking a nap and handed the keys to Elizabeth.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a great drive. We got about 90 seconds or 2 minutes here before we got to go to break with Christina George, who we were hoping would be here tonight, but hopefully her health is holding on out just fine. Do you see her getting more into the psychic connection, Coop, with the paranormal?
We didn't discuss that, so I'm not sure I can bring that up. and we can, have her tailor a little bit on the psychic connection as well. That is not a problem. Because, it'd be ideal also to bring in a medium to do a lecture. And that might be something we look at. And folks, I have comment cards at Paracon. And I only had 2 filled out last year. But I do have comment cards for anyone that wants to, or even if you want to just contact me directly and give you some ideas for, speakers or what kind of topics you want to hear about. We're always open to suggestions to improve it. That's a hands down. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it here, and it's going to get bigger.
And you know what? People will come. When I was thinking about putting my Paracon on earlier this year, Coop, there was a lot of people who were saying, especially from the Lower Mainland, because they don't like to travel anywhere, who were saying, well, why don't you have it near Vancouver? You have the airport right there. You have, all the amenities, hotels, everything. It's not my community.
No.
It's not my community. My job, the way I looked at it, is we want to bring people to the community to show you how awesome this little hick town that I live in is. And that's what we were trying to do.
And real quick, I've got to say,
we've got about 15 seconds.
Okay, I'll take 15 seconds. But in Forest Moon Paranormal, I have probably about 100 people from this community that are in the group. They're just quiet.
Well, we're all going to be quiet here for a couple of minutes as we go to our second break of the night. We're talking about the Forest Moon Paracon here, guys, in regards to the event coming up September 23rd. A bunch of us are arriving on the 22nd because we're going to have some laughs at the hub, maybe do a paranormal investigation before our speaking engagement on the 23rd. We'd absolutely love for all of you guys to come on down for that. It's going to be a fun time. Forest Moon Paracon, September 23rd in Concrete, Washington. Contact Eric Cooper at Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook to get more information about the event. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
We're getting strange on Saturday nights. Hi there, this is Dave Cruz, and each Saturday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I will take you on a tour of the weird and obtuse on Spaced Out Saturdays, from aliens to Sasquatch and every tinfoil hat in between. We got you covered. Join us at spacedoutradio.com for Spaced Out Saturdays. See you there.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, it's Saturday night, which means it's time for Spaced Out Saturdays with Dave Cruz. He gets going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. He'll be speaking with Christopher Garitano about the Montauk Project and other projects that Chris is working on. Highly recommend you get in on it. Now, on Sundays, for Spaced Out Sundays on Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin, she gets going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, as well as we got the weekend covered for you. It's a great show indeed. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us as well. We're also live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio in Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember, the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell set an impossible password for tonight. The thing's like 40 letters long. I'm not even trying it tonight. Bill, you stumped me. I don't need a big mention today because that one just kicked my butt. But Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also connect and chat live during the show on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Follow me on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. You can also tune us in on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live on TuneIn, and you can subscribe and download our shows from iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. You can read The Encounter online, rock out to some Bumblefoot, watch UFO Seekers or Contact TV videos, and shop at the Spaced Out Radio store. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking to Eric Cooper, Eric Markham, R. Keith Andrews, Corey Ruiz, as we're talking about next week's Forest Moon Paracon in Concrete, Washington, September 23rd. It's an all-day event. Cooper, Keith, myself, Markham, we're all going to be hanging out and talking online as well as during the Paracon, because I'm definitely going to try and Facebook Live my speech. We're trying to ring Cooper in because it isn't a show without losing Cooper at least once during the program.
Pretty much.
That's just what happens. It's just what happens. You know. Cooper, you back?
It's the beard. It's the beard. I tell you, it's the beard.
Well, we love the beard, man. We absolutely love the beard. The beard is good. All right. Mike Morin is going to be speaking on the paranormal. And if you could break down what he's going to be talking about, Coop, that would be great.
He's talking everything haunting. What's the difference between a ghost and a spirit? He's talking what is, how do you do a basically a ghost investigative technique. And he's going to follow that up with his workshop on what tools he use. And he also wants to, here's the thing. All the speakers are hitting ethics, whether it's ethics in science or, ethics in investigation. And of course, you're going to wrap it all up with ethics of the paranormal, which comes to mind, Dave. Why do you hate the paranormal?
Oh, you would ask. You would ask. Let me clarify this, okay? I don't hate the paranormal. Okay, I don't. It's the title of my speech this year is a little bit of an oxymoron because I really don't hate the paranormal. I really do love it. I wouldn't be in this field if I didn't enjoy, what we talk about and what we discuss on a daily basis. But I can tell you this. What concerns me about this field and why I dislike portions of the paranormal is I don't think there is another field of research out there. And when I say paranormal, I mean the entire umbrella word like you like to use it, Coop. Okay? I don't think there is a bigger topic of research out there that does more to shoot itself in the foot than we do. And,
I would concur.
And that is what I'm going to be discussing, in regards to that. Like, if we want people, mainstream media, mainstream people, the skeptical, the non-believers, whoever it is, to take us a little bit more seriously, we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And that is in the essence of my speech. I hate the paranormal. I'm going to be going into talking about the field of ufology, the field of Sasquatch and cryptids, the field of ghost hunting, and some of the antics that go over, and I'm going to question it. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? You know, I mean, during the break, what the audience didn't hear is Markham was saying about, you know, mentioning the paranormal gangsta. This person we met at a Paracon earlier this year. Day before, she's all normal. Next day, she shows up looking like a thug trying to deal me 2 grams of cocaine. Right? And that's the reality of it. You know, why do we need silliness? Why do we need a stupid shtick? You know, why are we putting or trying to place opinion as scientific fact? You know, so I'm not crapping on the paranormal field. What I am doing is stating the obvious as to why would anybody take us seriously if we're not taking ourselves seriously as well.
Dave, real quick, let me clarify something because it's coming up in the chat room. All lectures will be filmed, and I'll be taking pictures and posting them all day long. So as far as individual pictures, I know you're going to be filming beard tugs, and there'll be pictures posted, guaranteed, all over Facebook. And as far as filming, because people are paying for VIP tickets, the roundtable will be filmed, but will not be released right away. It wouldn't be fair to those that are actually paying for tickets. But as far as the individual lectures, they will be filmed and posted.
Wonderful. Appreciate you getting to that.
It's being discussed in the chat room, so I had to clarify because
Not a
got
problem.
listeners that aren't in the chat room that are asking the same question.
Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this for a second before you ask me your next question, Coop. Keith, when you look at the paranormal as a field of study, what is well, everybody does, but what is your one pet peeve?
The fact that even in the paranormal, I talk to so many people that either claim to be like heavily into whichever field, and I'm going to say whichever, whether it's the cryptids, whether it's psychics, whether it's the UFO, they claim to be heavily into it, and they claim to be believers, and so many of them turn around, and the second you say, I think I had a paranormal experience in this field, so many of them turn around and go, you're nuts. I don't believe it. You're just doing that. You're just saying that to get attention. Okay. The first, I've seen so many people do it. The first time I went out to speak out at Experience or Speak, I ended up having a PTSD attack, and I was literally accused of having it to draw attention. And I see this happen with me. I'm not the only one. I've seen a lot of people go through the same sort of thing. Now, if in the industry, if in this field, we're going to ridicule each other, how can you possibly expect the general populace not to?
Corey, what about you? What is a pet peeve you have about the paranormal?
I think one of the biggest pet peeves I have within the paranormal is that you have people that are, experts. As we all know, there's no experts in the paranormal. You can specialize in something, but there's no experts. And secondly, where you get people that are so sectionalized within it that they don't believe that any other part of the paranormal is actually paranormal, such as UFOs don't believe that, ghosts are part of their thing, or people who do ghosts and spirits say, aliens aren't part of their thing, or cryptids aren't part of their thing. That's not the paranormal. No, it's all the paranormal by definition. Definition of paranormal is anything that isn't normal, and cryptids, UFOs, aliens, spirits, that all qualifies.
Absolutely.
And that's the issue. And again, I promote FMP once a week, and sometimes more. It depends on how many responses we get, how many clients we get from the promotions. And I get harassed if I post in a UFO group, and I've had it before. Why are you posting that in our UFO group? You're not. If you read the promotion, we cover everything in the paranormal, including alien abduction, alien race interaction, and UFOs. So what's the issue? Because you can believe in an alien, you don't believe in ghosts, or vice versa. You have all these ghost groups. Well, we don't believe in aliens. How can you not believe aliens exist, but you can believe in a ghost? It's all paranormal. And, yeah. So, yeah, I deal with it weekly.
How you doing there, Preacher? What do you think? What is your pet peeve about the paranormal?
A lot of it's amazing how much overlap some of our presentations are going to have, because I have a section in mine talking about how you listen to people, the Bigfooters saying the ghost people are crazy, the Skinwalker people saying once you have something weird happen, something unexplainable by normal definition, like I did, that throws the door open, because if what I experienced is real, I can't say that somebody that saw Dogman, it just throws the door open to, if one thing can be possible, why not all of them? Because we don't even know. When you look at what we hear is just this very narrow bandwidth. What we see is just this very narrow part of the electromagnetic spectrum. I mean, humans, we're not, we can't know it all. We're just not equipped with the sensory mechanisms to know it all. So I can't look at somebody who believes in something that, and I'm not saying I'm on board with everything. Like, I think channeling is, by and large, mostly fraud, the way I see a lot of people do it. But that's because I haven't encountered a channeler that's not somebody that's trying to make money on TV. But I'm willing to accept that there are people out there that can do it. I just haven't met one yet. It's accepting without being
for a
gullible.
treat. You're in for a treat driving with Elizabeth Anglin, then. Holy cow!
Oh,
you got 21 hours of channeling from New Mexico to Washington State.
He's going to be sleeping in the back seat.
No, not the whole time. No, I don't sleep. I'm going to be so excited about this that I'm probably not going to sleep till whenever.
He's going to sleep through Paracon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only the part where he's standing up talking.
Yeah.
Now, Cooper, let's get to you. What is your biggest pet peeve of the paranormal field?
Well, like I said, it's the infighting within the paranormal, for one, and paranormal entertainment. You have too many groups that are in it to make money. There are too many groups out there that do it only, and they'll say it. We do it for paranormal entertainment. To me, in my opinion, again, this is not entertainment. This is helping people in crisis. Is it entertaining that someone's getting pushed down the stairs by a ghost? Is it entertaining that someone's getting abducted by aliens? I don't find it entertaining. And so I find it unethical for the ones that are doing it for entertainment. And those are my two biggest pet peeves, is the infighting within the paranormal that aliens don't exist but ghosts do, and the entertainment aspect. It's not entertaining to me.
Isn't it fascinating? We've all got the same essential complaint about the where it comes to the pet peeve, and yet we're all trying to do exactly the same thing, just from different angles.
Well, are we making money off it? No, we're not. That's my thing. It's free. It's free and it's education.
Here's the thing that I sort of come from a crossover between the two. I absolutely agree. This is not entertainment. I mean, it's fascinating, and I love the field itself. But when you're dealing with people that are suffering from abductions, that are suffering from missing time, that have a ghost haunting their house, any of these things, for the individual, this is not something to make fun of. It's not something to take lightly. However, as I had to come to terms with in my field, basically, if I don't make a living in my field, I have to go back to a normal job, as it were, flipping burgers or whatever, in order to simply keep a roof over my head. So making money isn't a bad thing, but doing it for the strict point of enjoying yourself, making money off of other people's misery, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
And this Paracon has the makings of being something so far beyond that and so much more exciting, from getting people in there that have, and I mean getting the people that are coming to listen to the speakers, getting them in amongst other people that have had similar experiences, where they all of a sudden realize, look, I didn't, the missing time that I go through, I'm not the only one going through it. There are people that can truly relate to it. That's the exciting part of the Paracon from my end.
Exactly. And hopefully getting some experiencers that have never told their stories or asked for help to be comfortable enough to ask for help, and then we can help them.
Absolutely.
Now, Dave, are you talking science when you're talking about why you hate the paranormal, or are you leaving that up to Markham?
I'm going to leave most of it up to Markham, but I am going to touch on it a little bit, because as a show host, and I want to preface this, there isn't much I do in the paranormal field on a personal level. Yes, I have my ghost tour that I do and so on and so forth. But I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm not a ufologist. I'm not a cryptid guy. Do I dabble in all of them? Yeah, I do. I just set up a gifting site just the other day.
Awesome.
And we're going to see how that pans out. But as I get more into this, the sad part about it is I haven't learned what to do. I've learned what not to do. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a big difference. There is such a learning curve in this field. How do I take a lot of these cryptid investigators seriously when they don't follow all the facts? They don't follow all the theories that are out there. They just don't do it. Same as ghost hunters. They just don't do it. Ufologists, a little bit different. There's a little bit more ego involved there. And mainly it falls on disclosure. But they just don't do it. So I guess for me, and I still consider myself someone who is relatively new on the investigative side of everything, I really don't know where to turn or how to do it properly, because all I've learned is everything that I don't like about it. And that's the danger side.
Well, and that's also easy to pick out. They make it easy to pick out.
It's a good thing to learn what not to do first, somewhat, because, that makes it a little easier to learn what you should be doing after that. Because then you aren't going to make some of the mistakes of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things people don't realize is that a failure in science is every bit as important as... There's really no such thing as a failure, because even if you disprove your hypothesis or something comes along that you think, well, I failed. No, you didn't fail. You shed light. It might be a dead end, but that keeps other people from going down that dead end. A failure is just as important as a success.
Oh, I love this question that's just come in from Gogo. It's just come into the chat room. Right. she's asked, how does a non-experiencer, non-researcher fit in at a Paracon? One who wants to attend because they have interest in learning, as they do, tuning in every night. Is a Paracon an appropriate event for a Muggle? In my opinion,
of course it is.
Absolutely.
Perfect event, because then you get to learn everything from the people who have been doing the research and who have had the major experiences. You get to learn from them what's going on.
Yeah,
and I think this is a group to learn. I mean, we're not going to have the paranormal gangsta. We're not going to have the cult of personality types. If you come to this Paracon, you're going to be getting, Coop's a straight shooter, I'm a straight shooter, Dave's a straight shooter. Nobody here at this Paracon as a presenter is out there to be the next ghost hunters on TV or anything.
No.
We're all about laying out what we know or what we want to know and how to get there. So it's a great place for somebody that hasn't experienced, because then you get a feel. Maybe you've been to some place like that where the people seem, they're staring at your left earlobe the whole time and talking about crazy stuff, and you're like, oh boy, how do I escape? You're not going to run into that here.
No, one of the
it's set up for the beginner, and that's how I like it. It's set up for the one that doesn't know anything to come in and learn. That's why I've got Mike doing the tools of the investigation and the basic investigation techniques. What's the difference between a spirit and a ghost? Things like that. It's set up for the one that doesn't know anything to come in and learn the difference and how to properly investigate. That's why I picked Mike to teach about the investigative of the haunting side. He's the prime presenter for it. I'm not going to pick some crackpot group that learned off TV to teach that. That's the wrong way to do it. Someone that's been doing it for a while and has crafted their trade.
One of the most exciting things that I had, one of the most fun parts that I've had when I've gone to the Paracons, is you've got all the speakers, and they're excellent speakers. They hold your attention, but outside of the speaking, I end up spending hours talking to people that just won't open up in a crowd. But you get the opportunity for, if you're not able to open up in a crowd, of talking to the individual speakers that you see or the people beside you, and find a way to find some sort of comfort there. It's a phenomenal experience. The energy is just incredible in these things.
And that's what I like about having interactive speakers, too. You guys are doing an interactive presentation. If someone's got a question in the middle of your presentation, you bring the audience into the presentation. It's not like a professor at a college that's going to sit there and be all humdrum and, talk in a monotone voice. You don't learn nothing that way. You bring in the audience and present it with an interactive, protocol. That's how you get their attention. That's how you answer the questions, and that's how you walk away learning something.
Well, you brought up a good point, Coop. I mean, I was looking at my original presentation. It's like, oh my God, these people are going to want to murder me. Yeah, it was just exactly because of my academic experience. I was laying it out just like I was lecturing or talking at the people, and I've had to do a rewrite so that I'm talking with people. And,
right.
It's even going to be more enjoyable to present, because I'm looking forward to what kind of reactions I'm going to get, or what kind of questions, or, downright what kind of, objections. Maybe I'm barking up a wrong tree on some of this stuff. I'm looking forward to interacting, and there's nobody at this place that's one of those inaccessible, have your people call my people types. I mean, just from what the people, having dealt with you, met Dave. Some of us have actually gotten together physically, and that sounded wrong. Have gotten on the same venue. But anyway, we're a down-to-earth group.
Mm-hmm. Which sounds really
we're not the kind of people you can't approach after the lecture.
No, and sign autographs.
Oh, that's one of the
$5.
Now, what's a preacher's autograph going for on eBay these days?
Yeah, I have to, as Dawn said, I have to pay people to take them.
I find they love my autograph if I've got a check that I'm filling out, but
one of the beautiful parts about this Paracon especially is the format for this Paracon is so very similar to Spaced Out Radio and S4. Is that you're having people who are presenting, their experience or, their knowledge, but at the same time, just like we've got here in Spaced Out Radio and S4, a chat room who can ask questions. You're going to have the audience sitting right there who can ask those questions. So it's going to be just almost that same exact type of format, very down-to-earth, friendly, conversationalist type of format.
Yeah, like you guys have all talked about writing out your presentation or speech or what have you, and I'm probably backwoods on this one, but I find I get an idea in my head as to what might go down with where I'm starting, get the topics I want, but as far as that I'm aiming for, but as far as having anything formally written down, I find it so much easier to run off what I'm picking up in the room, what the audience is looking for. It makes it far more enjoyable for the audience, and quite frankly, it saves me a whole lot of hassle of trying to be logic-based, because that doesn't work well for me.
Yeah, I've had to prepare a little bit just because of the subject itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start freewheeling, you might misspeak, or, I don't want to come off as the paranormal science guy that doesn't know jack about science or the paranormal. And I'm afraid I would get distracted, because just in writing this and thinking of the presentation, there's been, little side jogs. I've made footnotes like it might have to go here on this, or just different. I might be over planning it, but here again, I just don't want to be pedantic and sit up there and bore the crap out of everybody. And I'm hoping it just goes crazy. I hope we're all over the place during that presentation. I want it to be the fastest 90 minutes anybody's ever spent.
You're going to be hard pressed. Have you seen the way S4 and SOR tend to run at night? Those minutes go by in a heartbeat.
They do. And I got to say, and for the ones that don't get their questions answered, with the roundtable is set up just for that. That's the nightcap. That's the after Paracon party. And
right.
Again, we only open it to 25 people. And we do that so it's more personal. And, we don't have that many tickets sold. But again, like last year, we sold more tickets during the actual event than we did pre-Paracon. So I don't worry about it. But, yeah, that's where they actually get to sit down, eat some pizza, drink some Coke, and ask their questions. And I'll have my questions prepared. But obviously VIP ticket holders, their questions come first. And mine are only filler. That's it. So get your VIP tickets if you want to do the after Paracon party.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Yeah, I think I'll
I hope
show
so.
up.
Yeah, I'll find the corner I'm sleeping in. No, I'm going to be so wired. I'm already wired. I didn't sleep yesterday. It's already tomorrow on the East Coast. And just, finding my camping gear, finding this, finding that, think, I'll take the, it's just, I'm having more fun organizing for this trip
What do you
And
need
just,
camping gear for? What do you need camping gear for?
He wants to set a tent up in the hotel.
Oh, no. No, this is my vacation. I mean, after Paracon, I've got 2 weeks. I've got two consecutive. Basically, I'm off for 3 weeks.
Oh, you better take that for a highway on the way home.
I plan on doing a bunch of legend tripping. I'm telling you, I'm just looking forward to this being one of those ghost in the ear vacations.
Mm-hmm. The energy that's building up on this, especially when I started finding out some of what's going on in concrete itself. Even if people just come down to, even if they want to come out and stand around in concrete and, go to the different shops there, the energy that comes in, that feels like it's coming in with the Paracon, is going to be well worth going in there anyway.
Do you think that geographical location stores that kind of energy? Because it seems to me one of the things we're talking about is that the mineral content in concrete helps, sustain the paranormal activity. If we have people coming and getting excited and enthusiastic, do you think that the substrate of the town itself, what it's built on, might hold some of that positive energy and it could build like a capacitor?
Well, absolutely. But didn't you tell me that concrete is sitting on a bed of quartz?
Yeah, it's sitting on quartz, and it's got
quartz is an amplifier. It's a psychic
It was built on
amplifier.
a quartz quarry.
Yeah. It's an amplifier, and that can have all kinds of that is one of the best energy batteries. So yeah, it'll hold the energy and it will amplify it. Don't be surprised if a lot of people don't get a whole lot of sleep that weekend. And I don't mean just the people that are at the Paracon. I mean the other people in the area.
Oh, they don't get much sleep anyway. we have UFO sightings. I would say more than I hear about, because we have a swap meet here, and I went to the swap meet a couple weeks ago. And I was talking to one of the vendors there, and she's like, "Oh, did you hear about the UFO sighting up Morrow Mount?" Like, no, because nobody contacts us when they have any kind of activity. I wish they would, but I mean, we have more UFO sightings up here than we even hear about. Bigfoot. You talk to any of the old timers, almost all of them have Bigfoot, tales. And we have a Bigfoot family that we know lives up in the Baker area. We have a Bigfoot up in this area. Darrington, the town next, just north of us, or no, south of us, has all kinds of, Bigfoot and UFO activity. So this whole mountain range is a plethora of paranormal activity.
It's a proverbial smorgasbord of the paranormal in this whole area.
It's much like my community here, where, we have everything going on as well. From, like on the show tonight, we got the Northern Lights outside, and in two areas of the community separated by about 30 miles, there's two different UFO sightings going on at the same time. We have the paranormal ghost activity that is frequent, rampant around places. It's very much the same, but you get that in the older communities, and that's why these Paracons in these smaller, older communities are actually a good thing if and when the community embraces it as part of a tourism attraction.
Absolutely.
This is a beautiful area for a Paracon. I mean, just like what you've got there, Dave, we've got a lot of that same thing. We've got this hotbed of paranormal. We've got a town that's thoroughly haunted. I mean, what a better place to have a Paracon, to where people can come, and even people who are really curious in hauntings and everything else, they can come out here. They can actually have a chance of experiencing it as well as going to a Paracon and learning it.
Oh yeah, and the conversations that happen in amongst the speakers and the discussions that are, if you will, scheduled, some of the conversations get completely into a different area. That if you can even make the trip, even on the last minute, if you can make it up there for the day, it is more than worth going into the Paracon, just to, if nothing else, than to experience that kind of energy. You don't find it in other places on the whole.
Well, I think what's going to happen is, okay, maybe some of the people are in the community are holding back, thinking, like you said, a lot of people think we're just wackos or something. Us stepping forward and putting a credible face to the paranormal is going to go a long way in bringing the community in. They're going to, we're not running around with pyramids on our heads in onesies that say "I grokked Spock." We're more of I don't take myself seriously, but I take the subject seriously. Right. And I think that's what we need to do. And have a sense of humor about yourself, but be serious about about what we're studying.
Well, I think that's the case with some of them, too. We had our first annual last year. We had 70 to 100 people. And I think maybe some of them are waiting to see, is this an actual Paracon that's going to keep on going? And the more we proceed, third annual, fourth annual, the more people from the community we're going to bring in, because they're going to realize we're not just a fly-by-night team. We're not a fly-by-night Paracon. We are going to be here. There's nothing you can do to get rid of us. There's nothing you can do. You're not going to scare us away. That's usually the first, even with clients, the first thing they say is, you're going to think I'm nuts. No, I don't. We deal with it all. So when it comes to some of these people, they think their story is going to sound nuts. So they don't want to talk about it. Once they realize that, well, we deal with everything, they're going to come out and talk about it. And the more of a stance we take here, the more of a presentation we bring, and they see it's professional. They see it's not, I watch Ghostbusters, so I know exactly what I'm doing now. More people will start coming out.
Yes, very definitely. And this is one of the biggest challenges. I mean, if you talk to, and I don't know, enough about the rest of you, but I do know, I look at what I've been through, and I myself look at it going, no, this is just, it sounds completely nuts. But I've had too much corroboration to argue the point. So when people go, I think I saw something, but you're going to think I'm out of my mind, I'm the last person to tell somebody if they're out of their mind. These events are traumatic for everybody that goes through them. And that's
anytime you have your reality shifted, I mean, you've got that. I guess it's like psychic inertia. Something just changed. Did it really change, or am I crazy? It's a normal reaction, and I think finding out that you're not crazy is,
it's a heck
great.
of a way to have lived.
Yeah.
Well, once they hear other experiencers talking about the same thing they're going through, it brings validation to their story.
Exactly. The hardest part is sitting there in the dark, not saying anything, thinking that you're the only one going through it. And with an event like this, you will invariably end up, well, not invariably, but most people will end up talking to somebody nearby, and they will come to understand that they're not the only person that's gone through it. And there is a certain amount of comfort that goes with that realization.
I think that's going to be a draw in that most of us have experienced some facet of the paranormal. With me, it's been ghosts and UFOs, with our Keith Andrews, it's been E.T. You've had we've all had our different things that we've encountered. And that just adds to the pool. And that just makes us more approachable, because somebody in concrete's going to walk up to me and say, so I had a ghost talk in my ear too. And, when you have these epiphany moments,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like and it's good to get around other people who've had these experiences, because without that, even though I know what I experienced, my rational mind tries to come up or stretch and grasp at straws. Well, maybe that's not really what happened. Maybe it's just, no. But once you get out there and talk to other people that's had it happen or similar, your rational mind doesn't try to explain it away. We're herd animals. We like to be with our own kind, and I think that's one of the things these paracons are great for.
Right.
One of the things I think is really great about the Paracon here is even if people don't necessarily come up at that time or even afterwards, it may be sometime down the road, but even if they don't come up and talk to somebody about something that's been going on, the thing that gives me great pleasure is the fact that it's very likely that somebody is going to have had some kind of experience, and they'll come to the Paracon and stuff, and just being able to listen to the experiencers and the other presenters at the Paracon, they're likely to get some comfort in their life, just to make them feel better about what has happened in their lives as an experience, whether it's abduction or ghost or cryptid, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. We're coming from all parts of two countries to congregate in this little, what many people seem to think is a backwoods town, just a little pocket community. But of all the places on Earth that you could go, where better than a place that's built on what seems to be a hotbed? I mean, if you want to go to a Paracon, where better than a place where it is lit up before you get there?
Well, and I'm going to sound cocky here, but I think we have the best group to talk about the paranormal.
Well, I can't argue the point. Well, I could, but
no.
The thing is that the group is extremely well-rounded. You've got scientists, you've got ghosts, psychic, you've got the UFOs, you've got the reporter, and of course in Dave we also have the salesperson. And I'm still trying to figure out when he's going to start trying to sell the ships out from under him, because that'd make a heck of a run.
My goodness!
But,
really.
You're welcome.
You know what the big thing is, for all of us just to go there, open up to the public. And the one thing that I absolutely love is, like, during my speech, I'm not a PowerPoint presentation kind of guy. And I'll tell you, the big thing with me, like with being on the radio, you try and paint a picture with the voice, because that's all you have. You don't have an image, you don't have a photograph, you don't have the people right around you. You know what I'm saying? You have to paint a picture with words. And I think the beautiful part of interaction with people, especially during my speeches, I want to make it be like it is on this show. I want people to be interactive through my speech. Though there will be actually quite a few times when I am speaking where I'll actually throw it to the audience and say, give me your opinion on this. I want to hear your experiences on that. Have you ever had something like this happen to you? Whether it's by a show of hands or people actually speaking up. And I think it's important to have that interaction with the people. Because I've found when I've had or given or sat in front of PowerPoint presentations, I'm so focused on what the picture is up on the wall that I don't even hear the person speaking. They sound like Charlie Brown's mother.
Yeah.
So, and that's no insult to anybody doing a PowerPoint presentation, because I do think they could be very powerful in their meaning. But for me, what I do, I just don't feel comfortable with it. So we're going to try and paint a picture when I'm up there speaking.
Well, and if they want to, you're a great presenter. Your actual presentation is on the S4 YouTube channel from last year. So if they want to hear what you talk about and how you talk, they can always go watch last year's presentation, and it's going to be different this year, obviously. But you're a great presenter because you are an experiencer presenter. You are there for the people. You are there for the experiencer, and you want, you make them comfortable. And that's why you're excellent to be the closing speaker every year.
Well, I appreciate that.
Dave, all kidding aside, you have a natural ability yourself to get people's attention, get people riled up. Okay, and I do mean that in a positive way. It's one thing, like, I myself don't use PowerPoint because, well, frankly, computers confuse me more often than not. But you make a real good point that people have to work in your own comfort zone. So from your standpoint, that works great. From the scientific standpoint, sometimes you need to be able to look at the formula. It all depends on what you're dealing with. But the real key, I find, is get your audience talking to you. And you'll find that 90 minutes goes by in one heck of a hurry.
Dave, last year your speech was without a doubt riveting. It was beautiful. It was awesome. And if your presentation this year is anything like last year's, it is going to be magnificent. I can't express that more. You definitely have a way of getting that attention, painting that picture, and everybody in the audience gets a sense of what you're feeling and what you're trying to portray. That's for sure.
Thank you so much. And that is the goal. The goal is to capitalize, but I also want the people there to know that afterwards I'm more than welcome to answer any questions. And because we're going to do it on Facebook Live, we may actually, depending on the signal, because I know a cell phone signal can be rough around there, and we're going to test it out. But if we could get a Facebook Live, we may even include Facebook Live questions from our audience as well. So whoever is filming me, whether it's Preacher or Elizabeth or Carrie or whoever is going to be there, maybe they can ask the questions on behalf of that. So we are going to try and get our audience involved from Spaced Out Radio who can't make it there. So we'll see where it goes. Try something different. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's incredible. That's a fabulous idea in my eyes.
It'll get the ones from out of the area that can't make it involved.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key.
Yes, and real quick, yes, Joe, Carl did get a personal invitation to Paracon.
Carl's on Facebook now.
I know. I saw that. I got a friend request from Carl. I was like, Carl, do I know? Oh, God, Carl. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Hey, I did the same thing, Coop. I was like, oh, wait, duh.
Oh.
Yeah, so, I mean, the big thing is that we need to do is we just need to have fun, and we need to let the audience, whether they're in attendance or not, know that we are going to be very interactive with them as well. And I look forward to that. I know last year after the Paracon, I must have sat around for about 30, 45 minutes just answering more questions. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that was something I found when I was out east. The conference ended at like 10 o'clock at night. But I ended up until 3 or 4 in the morning talking to a few of the guests that didn't want to go home yet. And that's something that we'll find happen at this one too. I'm certain of it.
Well, and that's something we need to look at for the years in the future is making it expanded. making it later at night. So we can actually do a sky watch. And you can actually interact with, the guests that don't want to leave, that still want to rub elbows, or, ask questions, tell their stories. There's endless possibilities of where we can take this in, next year, 5 years from now.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this will grow. There's no question there. If we put the effort into it, this Paracon can become huge. I mean, you hear tale about other conferences where a small town is hosting them and the town gets overwhelmed by people coming to that event. There's no reason we can't do the same thing in concrete.
Well, and here's my plan for the future, is also including the GPI, which we won't talk about the GPI, that's a whole other show. But including the GPI and the Paracon, and getting all the GPI conference or council members involved with the Paracon. So you actually make it a GPI-involved event as well.
Yeah, I touch on the GPI in my, I have to refer to it in a couple places in my presentation. So, I do, not trying to steal any thunder or anything, but I just thought I'd let you know it's got to be, it's going to be mentioned.
No, by all means, mention it, because we need more involvement. And with the GPI, with a Paracon, we can actually bring in psychiatrists to talk about psychiatry and paranormal. And, the different aspects of what the GPI represents can all be speakers for Paracon. And then you have, the council. How is the paranormal moving this year? Touch base on, because we are doing it somewhat at the end of the year for a reason. Because we touch base on what happened in 2025. Were things improving? Have we moved forward with the paranormal? Things like that. Again, the options are in.
Well, there's never been a better time for this kind of thing. I mean, it used to be everybody had to get together and meet in some country or what. We don't have to. We can all sit around in our drawers on Skype and talk to each other across the world. I mean, I think there's a generation of people that don't appreciate the fact that the world is literally at your fingertips these days.
It is.
And it's something that people overlook and take for granted all at the same time.
This show is a prime example of it. I mean, Dave has had guests basically all over the world on his show.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I scheduled, he was just on last week. The guy lives in
Albert
Thailand.
Jack? Albert Jack.
Yeah, Albert Jack. Yeah, the first time I scheduled him the first time last year, or some months ago. It was like when he wrote me back, yeah, I'm in Thailand. It's like, oh, and you just take for granted that for the most part you're going to be able to interview somebody in real time sitting in Thailand. That's the wonders that I don't think a lot of people understand.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sitting at my age, I'm thinking, God, I remember when we had party lines, and
yes,
if you had a demented neighbor, you couldn't get a call out.
Preacher, I got to cut you off there. Cooper, you got about 30 seconds to wrap us up on the Paracon.
All right, if you want more information on Paracon, go to https, you know the deal, colon / forestmoongrove1.wixsite, wixsite.com / Paracon 2017. You can get your VIP tickets there. You can read more about the speakers. You can see who our sponsors are. Go check it out. I post updates every day, multiple times a day on Forest Moon Paranormal Facebook group. So hope to see you here. It's going to be a blast.
And I will be traveling down as well. T-minus 6 days and 12 hours. I will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to say thank you to everybody coming on the show tonight. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, little brother, is watching, playing in the background. Our SOR team of Everthemer, Eric Markham from The Encounter Online, Tim Doyle, Jolene Lammers, Web Design, Kim Gandy, our Director of Business Management, Leslie Mitchell-Clark from LMC Media, Catherine James, Social Media, and Bob Davis with the dulcet tones that intros us every single night. That's your Spaced Out Radio team. I want to say thank you to everybody on Twitter, everybody on YouTube, and everybody in the chat rooms on Spreaker and the SOR Space Travelers Club. You made it a very, very fun week. Thank you so much for being with us. I will talk to you on Monday. New week, 9 p.m. Pacific. I will be here with Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers. Mr. Bumblefoot, you need to do us a favor. You need to take us home. Have a good one. Good night.